I would like to call the July 11th board meeting for the Village of Monee to order. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is Pastor Shorts here today? Do we have a pastor? Oh, he is out there. I'm sorry, David. I didn't see you from Second Place Church. Would you please do our invocation, sir?
Father, you said that you give grace to humble. You oppose the proud. But God, we just come before you with humility of heart. We ask you for insight, for wisdom, dependence on your understanding to help guide and direct and order our steps and our conversation. And so, Father, we just commit this evening to you and everything that is done and said. May it truly bring you glory and honor. In Jesus' name, amen.
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 Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor. Roll call, please.
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
Trustee Gray?
Here.
Trustee Holston? Trustee Horn?
Here.
Trustee Razik?
Present.
Trustee Udris?
Here.
At this time, we'll have open to the public. Agenda items only, please. Okay, thank you all. We'll move on to the consent agenda. Could I have a motion, please, to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Is there a second? Anthony? Any discussion on the consent agenda? If not, roll call, please.
Trustee Gray?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Razik?
Yes.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
We'll move on to the clerk's report. Denisha?
Thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to let everyone know that all active registered Will County voters will be receiving a new voter registration card in the mail by the end of July. And by law, Will County Clerk's Office is required to issue a new voter registration card to each registered voter every 2 years. This card will list all of the voters' township and precinct polling place, as well as the units of government for which they are entitled to vote. And other features of the card include change of address form. So if anyone has moved from within anywhere in Will County, the information to request vote by mail ballot and an application to serve as an election judge will be there also. If the card you receive is from a previous resident from the address, please write return to sender on the voting card and deposit it into the mailbox. The next election will be, of course, November 6, 2018, but more information about early voting dates in the village will be announced as time comes closer. Also, I wanted to had the pleasure of attending a meeting with State Comptroller Susana Mendoza this Monday, which it was really awesome to meet her and speak with her and find out, a lot of more information. And we want to thank, of course, Reverend Hunt for hosting it. I also did speak with the Deputy Director of Constituent Affairs for the Comptroller's Office briefly after, and she stated that she looked at our books and they are awesome. So she just wanted to commend us on that.
Nice.
End of report.
Thank you.
Well done, Denisha. Thank you very much. I wanted to mention I was there, too. That was at New Hope Church. I wish possibly we could have advertised it more. I couldn't believe she talked for almost an hour, would you say, Denisha? No water, nothing. She just kept talking, that woman. And a lot of information from her. She prevented the state from going into, you call it junk, Bonnie, is it? And that would have cost the state to borrow money in the billions, an extra $2 billion if we went into junk. But she actually went through the bills when she first became controller. And I need to tell you this because there's good people out there, and I think she is. So she realized that she was $2.1 billion behind in bills, and she was working on that. The very next day, it went up to 3.1. She said, what is going on here? Well, you don't have 11 months of the bills yet. So it turned out to be a double-digit number. And she's pretty much working us out of that by getting a loan she thought would be between 5 and 6%, but she got it for 3.5. So that saved another $2 billion, believe it or not, over the length of the loan. So I think she's doing a great job. I personally told her that in front of the group that I didn't think she was a Democrat or a Republican or anything because she's working for the people, period. So, and it's a big battle for her. So anyway, that was a great meeting. It was. So we'll move on to my report. The only thing I want to mention is directly to my trustees. Please form your committees, if you would, now that you're heads of new departments. And I would like it that we balance it out so that no trustee is on more than 2. I think we can work that out. I hope we can, because then you're stretching us too much, you know, because most of you work for a living, okay? And it takes a lot of time to be on a committee. And then that's the end of my report. I will move on to the administrator's report.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Wallace.
Appreciate that. And the first item on the agenda, my agenda this evening, is has to do with a micro pantry. And I've invited Kelly Detlaff, who has approached the village to place a micro pantry on municipal property. And Kelly, if you'd just come forward and explain the operations and so forth, please pull the microphone straight up. There you go. Thank you so much.
Can you hear me? Okay. So I have some flyers too about what a micro pantry is. But it is a structure that is about half the size of a refrigerator, and it will be outside here, I think that we talked about. And what it is it will hold non-perishable items. It will hold common necessities that people might need. And it is take what you want, leave what you can. So people can take things if they can't make it to the food truck or they need things like that. There will be canned goods in there, pastas, there will be diapers, there could be baby food. Anything can go in there as long as it's non-perishable. So we are asking for you to adopt it for a 3-month time. And with that, we're asking you to take a look at it daily just to make sure that there's food in there or there are things in there from it. Provision Lab will be stepping in once a week to make sure it is stocked on Friday from noon to 5. We will be out there to make sure there's no structural damage, there's no graffiti, it's stocked for the weekend. After the 3-month time, if you guys decide that you do not want to take it on, then Provision Lab will take it over.
Any questions from the trustees?
I just have one question, and I'm for this. This is fine. What if, let's just say, we get a great response and we have overflow? Does somebody, you're saying Friday, somebody come on Friday, does somebody periodically check it during the week where nothing's sitting on the ground, or, you know what I'm saying?
Well, we would be asking somebody from the village here or maybe Parks and Recs or something to take 5 minutes out of their day, because it's really, if it's coming here, you're just glancing at it. If there are something on the ground, just take it in. It's great if that happens, because I mean, you can never, and it's really big. It's about half the size of a refrigerator, so lots of things can be put in there.
Well, in regards to that, I'm going to ask Diane to say a couple of things, because I know Parks and Recs has nothing to do. So, Di, I'm sure she'll be glad to do it.
We're buddies. It's okay.
Yeah, we're. I know. Good. Yeah, we're very excited about this. We heard about this through our MAC meetings and know the benefit that it can supply. So we were eager to see if the village would be willing to do that, and Park and Rec would be glad to help out.
Do you have the contact number? In case,
yes,
if you would exchange numbers, that's great. Perfect.
On speed dial.
Yep, pretty much.
Kelly, has this been done in any other municipality?
Yes, the gentleman who is supplying our micropantry, he actually owns a company and he puts them all over. The most recent one that I've seen put up was in Matson by, I'm trying to think, Prairie State. They have a, right by the Bank of America. They have like a small office there. So they put one there. Shorewood got one this past week. He has probably 30 of them. So they're going up all over the place. Yes.
I think it's a great idea. I just, I'm not sure it should be a village responsibility to check it, especially in the pilot phase. I would think that it might be better for whoever administers the pantry to check that daily. That would be my recommendation, not use village staff to do that.
Oh, I think it's a great idea because cut down on my grocery shopping.
Yes. And it's
No, I
great to
think
be
it's
able
a
to
great
get
idea,
the
really.
village involved as well into something like this. And what we're going to be doing as well is we are going to be putting it on the map, because there are a map of micro pantries that are going out by the Illinois Food Bank, and so we'll be added to that. So it's going to bring great things to Monee as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
With the other ones that you've had, have you ever had issues with animals trying
No,
to get into
they're-
them? Or?
Can I?
Yep.
Can I get?
We have, yeah, we've got a picture.
They are sided and they have shingles on them, so they are built to sustain and last. They have doors that are very, well maintained. They are not just a flimsy box.
Good.
So.
Kelly, the installation of this will be handled by the builder?
Yep,
Is that
he will
correct?
install it. So the way it looks is on August 4th when we do the 11 action, they will be installed. So there's going to be hopefully 3. You guys will be getting one, Second Place Church is getting one, and hopefully another location to be determined soon.
Great. That's terrific. Are there any other questions on this? They're asking for board action tonight. Could I please have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Excuse me, isn't this
Go ahead,
the
I'm sorry.
first time we've heard this today? Is that normal for us to vote on it? We
No,
can't.
it's not normal, but if you're not opposed to it, we could do that. If you want to table it till next week, that's normal procedure.
But my only thought is that
But
we
it's on the
haven't.
agenda.
It is on the agenda, I see
Yeah.
that, but we haven't seen it before. This is the first time. And knowing that we've cut budgets for this year, I'd like to take a look at how much time we're investing and who will do that.
Okay.
That's my thought, that's all. I think it's a great idea.
Well,
It's
you're
just
moving
the
to
staffing
ta-
of it.
Well, do we need to move to table or not?
We just had a motion or a second, correct?
Yes.
Let's take a vote.
Okay, we'll do, thank you for your comments, Janet. Roll call, please.
Trustee Horn,
Yes.
Trustee Razik,
Yes.
Trustee Udris,
Yes.
Trustee Blue,
No.
Trustee Gray.
Yes.
And I do understand your vote, Janet. It's not normal procedure. You're right in that respect. As I understand it, it's not a cost item to us. Am I correct?
Right.
Well, I believe it
So,
is a cost
you know,
item.
but-
If we're
but I
using
understand what
village
you're saying,
staff,
all right?
that is cost.
It's not normal protocol. So it's not that you're against it, I'm sure, but, Okay. we'll
Thank
move
you.
on, David.
Item H2 on the agenda has to do with union contract amendments that recently, due to the recent Supreme Court ruling in Janus versus AFSCME, Council 31, it is necessary to amend the existing contracts with the Public Works Clerical Unit as well as the Monee Police Unit. These amendments have been reviewed by our labor attorney from Ansel Glink and found to be in order. So approval of these amendments are recommended, and we would ask a motion to approve amendment of the Monee Police contract and the Monee Public Works Clerical contract. I believe we should probably do that separately. So if we could, if the board so desires to move to approve the amendment to the Monee Police contract, that would be in order.
Could I have a motion on that, please?
I'll make that motion.
Second, okay. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Horn,
Yes.
Trustee Razik,
Yes.
Trustee Udris,
Yes.
Trustee Blue,
Yes.
Trustee Gray.
Yes.
And next would be the motion to approve the amendment to the Monee Department of Public Works Clerical Unit.
Could I have a motion on that, please?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Razik,
Yes.
Trustee Udris,
Yes.
Trustee Blue,
Yes.
Trustee Gray,
Yes.
Trustee Horn.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Item H3 on the agenda is on February 23rd, 2005, the board passed ordinance 1342, which I've provided for your review, which approves the issuance of special use permit for the operation of a child care facility at 5701 Monee Manhattan Road in the business name of A Step Up Child Care Incorporated, owned by Gail Malone. Recently, that business and its operations of A Step Up Child Care has been transferred to Tyra Smith, doing business as Little All-Stars Daycare at the same location. Tyra Smith is requesting the special use be transferred to her business. If you reference the ordinance does allow for a transfer of that special use upon approval by this village board. And that is what is the motion that is before this board today.
I have a motion on that, please.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
Discussion, please.
Yes?
It does not say that in here, I don't see it documented in here, but can I assume that the new owner has the proper DCFS licensing to run a daycare?
Yes, the actual business license has not been issued yet, pending all the documentation coming in. This is just one step that solidifies that process.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? If not, roll call, please.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
Trustee Gray?
Yes.
Trustee Holston? Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Razik?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Item H4 on the agenda has to do with the porting of TIF funds. And as part of a potential future development plan, it is necessary to reallocate project funding from TIF District Number 3 projects to TIF District Number 5 projects. And in doing so, transfer the amount of $2 million from TIF District Number 3 to TIF District Number 5. The action requested this evening is a motion to approve the transfer of $2 million from TIF District Number 3 to TIF District Number 5. I would like to comment that both TIF districts have projects in which encumber these funds.
Could I have a motion on that, please?
I'll make that motion.
There's a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion? We have discussed this previously, so roll call, please.
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
Trustee Gray?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Razik?
Yes.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Item H5 on the agenda is the potable water test well pay request. A partial pay request in the amount of $99,841.50 has been made by Municipal Well and Pump for the above listed project. The board approved the project overall at the April 11th, 2018 meeting for a total amount of $219,758. This is the first payout request on this project. Letter from our engineers, Robinson Engineering, is recommending payout of the requested amount, and a copy of their letter is attached for your review. The action requested this evening is a motion to approve the partial payout request to Municipal Well and Pump in the amount of $99,841.50.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
Roll call, please. Oh, I'm sorry, discussion. Anyone want to discuss anything here? If not, roll call, please.
Trustee Gray?
Yes.
Trustee Horn? Yes. Trustee Razik?
Yes.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
Just so you know about that particular item, that's for our new well we're going to have, which will be a water tower.
Thank you, Mayor. And the last item that I have to bring before the board is the request for a road closure, and it has to do with the request from Pam Masiaga of 26109 South Locust Place, who has submitted a request to close Locust Street between Mulberry Lane and Mill Street for the purpose of holding a block party. And the block party is scheduled for August 11th between 2 p.m. and 10:30 p.m. And she did provide a letter of all the neighbors in the area agreeing to that closure.
Nice.
Action that we are requesting this evening is just to approve the closure of the municipal road, Locust Street, between Mulberry Lane and Mill Street for the hours of 2 p.m. until 10 p.m. 10:30 p.m.
I'll
Could I have
make
a
that
motion on that, please? Did you say that, Janet?
I did, so.
A second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion on that?
I'll be there.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Horn.
Yes.
Trustee Razik.
Yes.
Trustee Udris.
Yes.
Trustee Blue.
Yes.
Trustee Gray.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. At that time, it concludes my report.
Thank you very much, David. We'll move on to Larry, if you don't mind me saying Larry, Mr. Grzelski, our lawyer. Oh, I'm sorry, we're at officials report first. Public Works, Trustee Gray.
Two things this evening. Tomorrow, once again, by the roundabout, PT Fair will be out there just sealing the concrete, and, we'll be starting at 7 in the morning, so as people are leaving for work, just be patient. There will be flaggers out there. Again, they do seem to keep people moving along. Again, it should be brief, just be patient. Two, the social media was out there asking questions about Main Street. As they were working out there last week, they noticed that there are some lines that NICOR needs to lower. That's why the work has stopped. NICOR should be out there within the next day or two to lower those lines, and then Main Street will be back up running as far as the construction. And again, they will be out there flagging people and controlling traffic. So again, be patient, be careful if you need to go around it, but that is why Main Street has stopped. They bought some stuff from NICOR that needs to be dropped. So, end of report.
Thank you, Trustee Gray. Parks and Recs, Trustee Horn.
Good evening. Last Saturday, we held in the village of Monee Kids Day, and was very much enjoyed by all those kids who were there, maybe some of the adults too. We want to thank our sponsors who made this event possible: Comcast, First Midwest Bank, Dr. Therese Boggs, Riverside Healthcare, McDonald's, Advanced Property Specialist, Rainbow Farms, the Monee Chamber of Commerce, and Better Built Lumber. So we thank all those sponsors.
Awesome.
In fact, I did hear a lady was telling me that her two kids were riding on the back of an alligator at that event. So I wish I could have seen that. Next, this Friday, 2 days from now, there will be a job fair at Fireman's Park from 10 a.m. to noon. There's no registration required. Bring your resume. Workforce Services of Will County is bringing 17 companies looking to hire new employees. So if you know somebody who is looking for a job, have them take advantage of that. Still time to register your kids for the following programs: Baker's Delight, Mai Tai, that is
Mai Tai.
like
Cool.
something to do with karate, I believe. It's not the drink,
Not my time.
just so you know. Taekwondo, I wanted to clarify that. British Soccer Camp and Stuffed Animal Workshop. Now, we also have Zumba and yoga classes that are always going on. Anyone can walk into one and try those classes. The instructors welcome first-timers. Plan your next party or gathering at the Fireman's Park building. Room rentals are available for residents of Monee. Now, here's an important announcement about a meeting. We're going to have a Fall Fest planning meeting open to the community and community organizations on Monday, July 23rd at 6 p.m. at Fireman's Park building. So if you have opinions on how Fall Fest should be run, what we should be doing at that event, please come and be a part of that planning meeting. And lastly, we are always looking for program ideas and instructors to teach classes in the fall. If you'd like to teach a class or have an idea, please contact the Parks and Recreation Department. And the next newsletter will be coming out the week of August 20. End of report.
Thank you, Trustee Horn.
I have a question for Trustee Horn. Do we have an update on the fishing question?
We do not, and we were going to look at a date to have a committee meeting on that, and I was thinking of Monday, July 23rd, but that is taken. So I will have to revisit that and look for another date.
Okay, thank you.
And I'll just also bring up along with that, I've said so before, any residents that have any input, any concerns about that, I would love to hear from you. You know, and like I said, we're trying to work through and see what the best options are.
We'll move on to finance. Trustee Blue.
I don't have any report this evening, Mr. Mayor, but I would like to welcome Ken Surma to the podium. Ken is a representative of the Monee School District, and he has agreed to present the plan, which is the plan for some changes to the buildings and what's available there. And Ken did promise to keep it under 10 minutes, right, Ken?
Oh, I did. That's right. I did. Let me also introduce too a couple other. We always bring an entourage when we come to these, but I want to introduce the president of our Board of Education, Jennifer Gasparo, here also, along with our interim superintendent. Day 3 is today. Dr. Kara Coglianese, who is also here, also with us to join us. So thank you for this opportunity in that. I do have a couple extra copies here. If the public wants to share some of that, feel free to do that. There's a lot in here, but I'll zip through a lot of this too, so to try and stay with the 10 minutes and all that too, okay? One of the things I'm going to start with and say is that the facilities that we have at Monee, I've been there a year now, a year as of yesterday, and a lot of our facilities really are deteriorating and somewhat are beyond repair, quite honestly. We've done some studies, there's been some studies that have been done, and there are some life safety issues that we do have at 5 or 6 of our facilities. And in this presentation, you'll see those total about $11.4 million. However, that doesn't solve some of the things that we have within our district, and that is this. One is we are, and the district has historically run a deficit in their operational budget, somewhere between $1.5 and $2 million a year. At some point, as we all know, that runs out. All right? I project that that's going to happen probably in 2 or 3 years, that we will not have the money to operate. And what that will mean then is the fact that you have to take out what's called tax anticipation warrants. You're taking out basically loans to pay your bills and that. We don't want to do that. Or we have to cut services back and that. So that's number one. Number two is that we see an inequity in our facilities that we have. Some facilities that we have are climate controlled, air conditioning. Some are not. A great majority of them are not. Balmoral, Crete, those are not. So what we have to do is we have heat plans that are in place. We have to bring water in and all of that in order for the kids and staff to be there and that, and make it, at least try and make it somewhat comfortable for them. And then the third one is the inequity in the educational instruction that takes place. Because when you have facilities, and what I'm going to call as neighborhood schools, where you have a K-5 here and a K-5 here and a K-5 here, different instruction takes place in those. And it's just natural because they're different buildings, you have people separated by that. And it's very difficult then to get, let's say, first grade teachers together in order to develop and do some professional development in order to have instruction that is equitable, all right? The last part of that then is our high school athletic facilities that are deteriorating, and there's a part in here that addresses that also. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start really on page 5. Let me go to page 5 and that, and it talks a lot about those things that I just talked about and shared with you. I will tell you this, that there is not a no-cost solution. We have to spend something on our facilities. It depends what direction we go, and the board has decided on the direction and in going in this direction. So what you'll see as I go through the pages on page 7, you'll see the team that kind of developed this whole plan from our leadership team. We did some demographic studies. I'd be happy to share that with you, of our school district by John Casarda, who is one of the leading demographers in the nation. I've used him before. The board elected to use him and approve that. They have said that demographically, enrollment is probably going to be stable. It doesn't look like there's going to be any large increases or decreases, but for the next 20 years, they're looking at enrollment probably saying very consistent in that. And then you'll see also I've used Healy Bender to architects to do a little bit of design and some cost estimates along with Pepper Construction. Both of those firms I'm very familiar with. PMA Security is our financial advisor. They're the ones that have done some of the financing plans that I have in here to share with you. On page 8, you'll see some of the goals that came out of this. And there were a couple of things that I earmarked. One is to eliminate our operational deficit that I talked about. The second one is equity in our facilities. The third one is having no increase in property taxes. I understand that. I'm a taxpayer, not in this district, quite honestly, in another district, but I understand the impact that it has on a taxpayer. So my goal is not to increase property taxes when it comes to this. And also, the goal is not to have a referendum, but to also have transparency in our process so that all the community members can see what is actually going on, either from a budgetary standpoint or how we're spending the money or what we're doing on that. So the plan is, in page 9, is really an overview of the plan. And what that is this, is to create 2 grade learning centers, a pre-K to 2 grade learning center, and a 3 to 5 grade learning center. We would also expand the middle school, the current middle school that we have, in order to accommodate the population. What I will share with you is that when that facility was renovated, it was not renovated big enough. We right now have, I think it is 8 or 9 teachers that are on carts going back and forth. And so we need to add some classrooms there, so that would be part of the plan also. We would also renovate our early learning center and current administrative offices that would then house our alternative program that we have right across the street at MEC, and it would also house our administrative offices. We would also close and eliminate some facilities on that, and that is in here, and I'm going to share that with you, and we would also upgrade our high school athletic facilities. On page 10, 11, 12, and 13, you'll see some diagrams. I'm not really going to go through those with you, but you'll see some sketches and some rough diagrams on some of the facilities that we would either add new or renovate. So you can look at that. But page 14 is another major page on what the cost of this will be. So let me share that with you. What we would do actually, we would demolish our current 6th grade center that is standing vacant right now. And that's where we would build a new pre-K to 2nd grade grade learning center. We estimate the cost of that of being about $46.6 million. We would expand Monee Elementary School, that would become our 3rd through 5th grade learning center at a cost of about $17.6 million. We would also expand our middle school to include additional classrooms at $6.6 million. And then we would renovate the current ELC to house our alternative school and administrative offices, technology, building and grounds, all of them, at about $13.7 million. Again, rough estimates in that, but they are, as far as I'm concerned, they're probably a little bit high estimates. I don't look at it going any more than that, nor do I want it to go more than that, so it's staying within those budgetary constraints. Page 15 will outline kind of a rough construction timeline. It's a 4-year plan that we would go through on that. So it would take us 4 years to complete the entire plan. But you'll see on page 16 and 17, we would consolidate from 10 facilities down to really 5 facilities. We would really close 5 facilities on that. I have a corporate mind when I think of these things, and when you're running deficits, I think we need to think outside the box and we need to consolidate on that because it doesn't help us to sink money into our current facilities that are deteriorating right now. They are at a point where, and we've done some studies, I have some numbers of that, and I can easily come back and share those numbers with you, but we've looked at that and even looked out 20 years of what it would cost us, and it would cost us, in essence, over $150 million to maintain those to where they should be 20 years. So it makes sense, I feel, to consolidate. You'll see on page 18 kind of a breakdown of what we would close. We would close Balmoral, Crete, our magnet school, Our education center that is also across the street and Talala Elementary, while maintaining ELC, Monee Elementary, Crete Monee Middle School, the high school. And again, the 6th grade center would be demolished and we would replace that. Question that comes up is what we would do with those properties. We really haven't decided that yet. I will tell you that I do not want to leave buildings standing on those properties. I think it is a waste of our money. Let's say the 6th grade center is really just sitting there and we're paying for some of the utilities to go on there. And it makes no sense to keep them standing as far as I'm concerned. So there's discussions we can have with villages, there are discussions we can have with real estate people, and all of that as we move forward and the board moves forward with this. But we really haven't made a decision on that yet. You'll see beginning on page 20 and 21, a redesign of our athletic facilities and upgrading those. I will tell you that right now, to give you an idea, our football stadium, the stands are not in real good shape. They're not ADA complied, so it's very difficult for that. Our softball team doesn't even play at our high school facilities. It plays over at Crete Elementary School, but baseball plays at our high school facilities. So there's some inequity that takes place there. So this would solve all of that. You'll see a lot of those in there. On page, I'm looking at numbers, on page 22, you'll see the new football stadium, and it's actually a multi-purpose stadium. It would be able to handle track and soccer and football.
Can I ask you real quick?
Yes.
What's the age of the high school?
10 years, 10 or 11 years right
10
now.
years?
Yes, and that. But I'm not sure when the high school was built if they did anything to the athletic facilities. I don't believe so. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those are still original. Many of them are still original from the other school. Because the new high school was just built on the same complex.
So you'll see on page 30, I'm looking at numbers, 27, you'll see the cost of that is an additional $23.5 million in order to upgrade. Again, that's an estimate that we have put together in that. It does include contingencies, fees, soft costs, all of that. So that is in there. Again, page 28 is really a summary of those items on our athletic facilities and what we will do. But the major part of this now is how we will finance this and how do we pay for this. And that's the key. And so that begins on page 30. And that is, there is something called a debt service extension base that the district has. And that was created actually when the PTEL went into effect, the tax caps went into effect. You were able to, when PTEL went into effect, one of the provisions that was there said, whatever you have on the books now is bond and interest payments, you can continue doing that through non-referendum. So you continue to sell those if you wanted to, if you haven't used that. Also, what's called DSEB, I'm going to just say DSEB as we go here. DSEB can be increased by referendum, so that amount can actually be increased through referendum. And back on April 13th of 1999, the district and the residents did approve an increase in the DSEB up to $6.4 million. So what that means is that the district has the ability to sell bonds up to $6.4 million in principal and interest every year without going to referendum. They don't have to go out to referendum. Because the theory is that the residents have already given you that permission to do that, and that's what that was for. And that. So what you'll see then is on page 31 is our current debt structure, what we have on the books right now. And so what you'll see, that bar chart there will show you that we have a bond and interest payment of about $12 million a year. It basically is about 11,992, something like that. So it's just around $12 million. And then you'll see in 2025 that falls off. So our debt is almost zero. You'll also see on page 31 those blue bars that are there, the ones that are colored in blue, are the part of the DSEB that we are using right now. Now remember I said we have a maximum of $6.4 million, and you'll see that red line there. We're only using right now about $600,000 a year of that. So the next page, what you'll see then is the use of that full DSEB for the years that we can go out 20 years, and that we would restructure our current debt so that there is no increase in the bond and interest payment to the taxpayers and that, but we could still fund the full, it comes out to about $81 million. We pay about $2 or $3 million in cash and that you'll see, but we can fund it without a tax increase to the bond and interest portion of a person's tax bill on that. So it would be done, as you can see on page 33, and it gets, quite honestly, this is a difficult, it does get complicated, but there are 4 bond issues. So we would issue bonds 4 different times in order to do this so that we could move it out to 20 years because we can only sell bonds up to 20 years in that. So this would get us then the full $81 million that we would need in order to do that. At least the educational facilities and that. What you also see on page 34, and this is something that I know is going to come up and people have asked, is what's it really cost? You know, and that if the project itself costs $81 million with principal and interest, what does it really cost? Well, this will kind of show you on page 34, the actual cost with the interest in that is we're estimating is about $156 million. It's a lot of money. I'm not denying that at all. It is. That is current market rates. We've added about, our financial advisors added about 5% on, not 5%, I'm sorry, 0.5% onto that as he's projected things out. However, what I wanted to kind of compare it to is to a home. And that's what I showed on here, that when you buy a home, a $200,000 home, that's not really what you pay for it. And what you'll see by some of the things I did here, you really, if you put 20% down and pay $180,000 for it, if you take a loan out for 30 years at 4.5% interest, you're really paying $328,000 for that home and that. Now, I know $328,000 does not compare to $156 million, but again, I just wanted to kind of show that comparison to you. For the high school facilities, our plan is on page 36 is to seek private funding for that. Donations from corporations and that. I worked at the University of Illinois at Chicago for approximately 17 years. I was assistant athletic director, and we named everything. And there was a price to name everything, quite honestly. I think we need to develop some partnerships with a lot of the businesses that we have within our communities. Dr. Cogdanese and I have talked about talking with a lot of your individuals and a lot of the people that are in your community and that to see if we can get some contacts and open the door so that we can present to them this partnership that we could have with them in seeking private funding for our athletic facilities and that. Our board is committed that they want to make sure that we take care of our educational facilities first. And that, so that's going to be our priority, but at the same time we're going to be working on our athletic facilities too. Okay. I'm going to stop now. I will. Let me just mention one thing, please, before there's any questions. On page 38, what you'll see is some of our next steps that we're at. We actually will be in the process of putting together a communication plan. We're actually meeting tomorrow on that with a bunch of us. And in order to put a plan together that we can communicate this out to the community. So that's why I really appreciate coming out here tonight and kind of kicking that off. Some of the ideas we have is about, a website for construction information and budgeting and all of that, community forums and that. We are also going to do a lot of studying when it comes to cost savings, whether it's operational, transportation, utilities, all of those. We're putting a core team together of staff within our district in order to form kind of a construction committee and that. I don't like doing these things in a vacuum. I believe we need to collaborate on this, so we'll be doing that. And then we're also going to be beginning schematic design for the demo of the 6th grade center. We look to demo that 6th grade center probably starting in October or November if everything goes according to plan. So that if the board so chooses, we can begin construction on the new building in the spring. Okay. Questions? I know that's a lot. I apologize for a lot, but.
Thank you, Mr. Summer. We really appreciate it. That was it was very concise, and I know you could have spoken for probably another 40 minutes on that. I do have one question. Has the board board approved this?
What the board has done, and what I've asked the board to do, and this is we had discussions over 3 months on this, And what I asked the board for is, I need to know which direction we want to go. Do we want to go this direction, or do we want to go this direction? Now, when I say this other direction, that has to do with life safety things that we have at those facilities, trying to get those up to snuff and all of that and that. If we go down this road with the plan, we can postpone doing some of these life safety issues because we're grandfathered in, so we can do that and that. So the board decided at the last meeting, they voted 5-2, there's 7 members of the board, 5-2, to move forward with the plan and that. Now, there are steps within the plan that they will always approve, such as when it comes to the sale of bonds. They will have to approve that as we go along, but now they've given me at least direction to move down this road and start going down this road. Jennifer, I don't know if you want to comment about that at all? Or?
Yeah. One of the things that Ken didn't discuss is more how it's going to affect the kids. And the board feels that this plan will help the educational equity and actually give our children a better education. For instance, right now at Monee Elementary, you can have a kindergarten classroom that has only 15, 16, or 17 students, whereas at another school, they can have up to 25 or 26. How is that right, that we can have smaller classrooms in one building, yet bigger classroom sizes in another one? It does not, it doesn't work. The kids all have to have equal access to their education, and we have talked about it in great detail. And the whole board, I think, is on board with moving forward. It's just how we're going to pay for it is where the divide comes in. Mr. Surma has been great in keeping us informed of everything. There's going to be a lot of communication that goes on with this. We'd like to invite you guys to our meetings when we discuss it. It's not on the agenda for next week, but we will be having more meetings, and we do welcome the public to come in. Ken's information is in here. You can contact him directly with any questions that you have. We have a new interim superintendent that just started this week, Dr. Coglanese. She's going to be getting up to speed on this, and we'll be more than happy to come back and talk to you about it at any time.
Thank you.
I had a question. First of all,
Sure.
I want to thank Ken and Jennifer, especially Jennifer, because she does a lot of work as our president of the school board, and very hard work, very a job that doesn't get a lot of thanks. So I thank you for what you do. I really appreciate it. And our new superintendent, thank you for coming out tonight. So a couple things. And I'm coming from background as an educator for 30 years myself.
Sure.
What I would anticipate is your biggest pushback is closing the neighborhood schools. And I'm sure you've gone over and over all this in board meetings and so forth, but I really can see that as being an issue for especially those areas where a school is being closed down. But you probably already know that. Your bond rating, what is your bond rating?
I believe it's AA. I know it's not AAA, but I believe it's AA.
Okay. And when you say that buildings are beyond repair, could you expand on that a little bit?
Sure. I shouldn't, and I'll correct myself, I shouldn't say they're beyond repair. They can be repaired, but it would cost a lot to repair them. And that you get to a point when we do a remodeling of a building at a certain percentage, do you build new or do you continue to remodel? Usually that's about 60 to 65% of the cost. Once you get to that point, you're better off doing that. I'll get you some information I have. I don't have that included in here, of the study that we did, that our architect did in looking at that, to show you what those costs are, so you have those costs, so you can see what it would cost to get those repaired in a way that they would be equitable with all the buildings. I can do that. Okay. Yeah, one of the things that Jennifer was mentioning to me is that when you talk about life safety, those things don't have anything to do with things like air conditioning or anything like that, or HVAC. It's just really to get things up to current code in your buildings and that. So there's more cost involved with than
I would like to see those, because I know
Sure.
this has been an issue that has gone on 3-4 years ago.
Okay.
These were ongoing issues, and maybe previous boards have just kicked the can down the road. One
I
last.
think, and Trustee Horn, can I just say that,
Sure.
because you make a great point, what you said right there. Mr. Teray, one of our board members, made this comment during the last board meeting. Jennifer, correct me if I'm wrong. We've kicked this can down the road long enough. It's time. That's exactly what he said.
So my last comment and question wrapped up together. On page 8, you say no increase in property taxes. I think for the taxpayers, are you willing to go on record as administrators and board members? We will not see our tax bill go up from year to year from the school portion.
What on bond and interest you will not.
Okay.
Bond and interest, a portion of your tax bill is operational funds of the school board's tax portion. Some is operational and some is your bond and interest payment.
Okay.
And that the bond and interest payment of your tax bill will not go up.
Will you commit to not raising our property taxes on the other side of it, the operational
I
side?
can't commit to that at this point, just from a budgetary standpoint. I can't, because there's natural increases that take place. And that.
I will tell you that this board, we, although we're about 20% of the tax bill, maybe 15 to 20%, versus yours is 60%. We committed to that, and we did, and I'm very proud to say we did not raise our taxes on our residents, but they are still getting a tax increase. And again, I appreciate you coming into the lion's den, as it were, to let me vent my
that's okay.
concerns a little bit. But I would encourage you to go on record as to commit to. I think this would go down much smoother with the public if you would commit to those two things. No property tax increase on both ends of your property tax bill.
Okay.
I just wanted to make a comment also. I spent 10 years on the high school board in Oak Lawn, and one of the big things we went through was a second school or a fourth edition. And with the second school, you got to have 2 administrators. You have 2 of this and 2 of that. And with you closing 5 buildings, I commend you on that type of a plan, because obviously you're going to cut down on that part. You know, that you're going to have a savings there immediately. You know, so I see a number of, let me say, good things from it.
Sure.
We have people actually, and I hate to make this comment, but they comment to me, you know. Yeah. And may I say, when I ran for mayor, they, at the forum, they said that they would ask questions that are commonly asked by the public to the people running. Well, here's a question commonly asked to me, is that why are people moving out all the time when their kids become high school age? That's a problem here. And I think it's a problem kind of through your whole district, you know. And hopefully this can turn that around. But it's a rough nut to crack, you know that. Once you're pegged a certain way, it's hard to change it, you know.
Sure. And I think, too, one of the things that the board has asked me also to do is see if there's any funding out there through grants and that to offset some of these costs also. Yeah. I will tell you that there's a new part to the evidence-based funding model that has come through the state, and that's property tax relief that we are looking into. It is for, there's a $50 million pool of money that has been set aside for districts that have high tax rates and low EAV. I feel we would qualify for something like that. However, I know the applications for that aren't coming out to the fall yet. The Illinois State Board of Education hasn't put that together along with the state. So if that were to happen, it could bring relief to the tax bills. I'm not sure of that, though, but that's just something that's there and that we will pursue also.
Thank you very much. Sure. Anybody else have any questions?
Mr. Summer, I had one other thing to say. So even though the taxes aren't going to be raised, our residents don't have any relief in sight either, because we're going to prolong the debt for that period of time. And I do echo Trustee Horn's comments in that, and Mayor Pops, in that our residents are, they're not happy with the school district, mostly at the high school level for all sorts of reasons, and we won't get into that here. But it would be a really great service to our residents to show us what you're looking to improve right across the board, not just from a building perspective, but for our students, for their well-being, for their education. I mean, that's at the core of every parent.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to see that as part of the communication. I'd like to see some input as to what impact this will have on our students from that perspective, because that's really what we're all interested in.
Sure, and that's something that we will do, and that we will get. I know Laura Hirsch, our assistant super curriculum, will work on that, and that's going to be part of our studying too, so that we can communicate that out also to the community, that these are the benefits of doing this too, and what we will be doing, whether it's at the high school, at the grade centers, at the middle school, and that.
Right. Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions for Mr. Summer?
Thank you. Are there any other questions?
Sorry.
If not, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anything else, Janet, on your
No,
report?
that was the end of my report. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you
Mayor.
very much. Okay, we'll move on to economic development.
No
Scott?
report at this time.
No report. Very good, Scott. We'll move to building
I'm sorry,
service.
I have a question for Trustee Udris. The license that we're looking to generate, the vendor license for transient vendors, are you going to be picking that up?
Yes, I will, and
You will.
I'll get with you to, so I can get up to speed on
Okay.
where we're at with it and then move forward.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to building services. Trustee Razik.
We got a few things. From the building department, 2 builders are expected to submit plans for new home construction in Eagle Fair. Kenco anticipates final CO issuance by end of July. BR4 has issued their building permit for the warehouse, and a pre-con is being rescheduled for Vigilant Avenue. Sheets has submitted plans for his outdoor patio and continues to prepare for a future opening of the coffee wine business. Homeowners who rent, please expect mailings within the next 2 weeks regarding the new rental ordinance passed at the last village board meeting. Should you not receive this information, please call the billing department and they will ensure you are added to the mailing list. Registration will be required effective August 1st. Code enforcement, please remember that all trash containers must be placed at out of view from the public. Also, grass and weeds must be kept, maintained, and not exceed 6 inches in height. Along with maintaining the height of your grass, it's important to remember that it is not permissible to expel grass clippings onto the roadways. This causes storm drains to become blocked. And code violation tags have been being issued to those who are not currently compliant. End of report on this. And lastly, we have a lot of residents who've been wanting to bring back. I brought this up years ago with our former board, but nobody wanted to go anywhere with it. But now a lot of residents are at me again. They want to bring, golf carts, like all the surrounding communities have, but we have not. Now that we have a new board, how does the new board feel about going about allowing golf carts within resident streets?
Well, I think blindly bringing that up, if I may, I think we should just table the discussion on that even until our next meeting. So
I wanted to have Larry write up something, but I just wanted to get like a consensus from the
contemplate it
board on
and
how they felt
decide what to do.
before, we spend the taxpayers'
Is that
money
okay,
on Larry.
Anthony? Is that all right?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay. You better let me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good.
I
So,
do have a question for
ma'am.
Trustee Razik. I keep on calling Anthony. We were talking about an ordinance for people to keep chickens. Do we have an update on that?
Yes. Next Wednesday at 7:30 p.m., Doug Horn and I will be holding committee meeting to discuss the chicken ordinance and go forward with that.
And is that a public meeting?
Yes.
Thank you.
And if I may just comment, you know, our committees are not fully formed, so
Yes.
trustees, you may,
Join in.
you're
whenever
certainly
you want.
welcome to come out.
Yeah, I'd like them formed by our next meeting if you could do that. I mentioned it earlier, so it'd be very important if you do
7:30.
that.
P&Z's got a meeting at 6:30.
Public Safety is Trustee Holston. It's not here. Anything you want to say, Scott? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but, you know, you're used to it.
No problem, Mayor. Thank you, sir. Just a note for the trustees and the community, the trustees have been provided with a statistical analysis sheet comparing some activity from May and June of 2017 to 2018, kind of looking at where we are from last year. What you're going to see is about a 25 to 30% increase in our total calls for service during that time period. But we have seen no increase at all in what I would consider to be serious crime. Actually, our robberies, thefts, and burglaries are down 33% from last year at this time. And in spite of our one terrible shooting incident, everything else has remained fairly neutral and dropping in some areas. So we will continue to do that throughout the year and keep you abreast of our activity and what we're doing as compared to previous times. And let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. We'll move on to the attorney's report.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question for the chief. So on your report, Chief, you mentioned that the reports written in 2017 was 36, and in 2018, it's 20. Why do you think there's a drop in reports written? Is that because the public don't want to put their name to a report?
You know, that's, excuse me, there's multiple reasons behind something like that. In many cases, a call for service does not require a report if there is no action actually taken by the police that needs to be documented. And a lot of times we'll receive anonymous calls, so we have nothing to document on it other than the incident itself, which we do in a computer system rather than a written report. Also, the 33% drop in thefts, burglaries, robberies, that's a 33% drop in reports and those things.
Right, for sure.
So it's just a matter of, it's an anomaly, actually. You think the next month you'll see a little bit of an increase in reports, and as we handle that many more calls, the number of reports are definitely going to be up. I think May was just an anomaly in that particular field.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any other comments?
I just had one other comment that I would like to make. I just happened to see a video posted on social media about the active shooter training that your officers participated in. It was chilling to watch. It's good to know that our officers are seeking that training, and God help us if we ever have to use it. So, but great training, and I thought that was great for your officers. I wanted to just bring that up.
Thank you. It's definitely incumbent upon us to be prepared.
Thank you, Scott. Any other? Okay, we'll move on to the attorney's report. Attorney Korczewski.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have one item for the board's consideration. It's an ordinance approving the redevelopment note between Village of Monee and Ralph Bailey LLC. This is the Amazon site. If the board recalls, you entered into a redevelopment agreement roughly 2 years ago, wherein we agreed to sign a note to Ralph Bailey LLC for TIF eligible cost. This note, there is no interest assigned to the note. It's over $28 million. They're all TIF eligible costs. The project was a lot more than that, but we agreed to $28 million. This is not a GO from the village's standpoint. It's strictly based on increment derived from that site. The increment amount is 80% of the pledged revenues. Again, most importantly from our standpoint, it's not GO backed, and it's no interest on this note. And they've complied with the terms of the redevelopment agreement with occupancy permit, so it's up for the board's review and consideration.
Could I have a motion, please?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Horn.
Yes.
Trustee Razik.
Yes.
Trustee Udris.
Yes.
Trustee Blue.
Yes.
Trustee Gray.
Yes.
1869.
1869.
That's all I have, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, Larry. We'll move to old business, the creamery lease.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. I've been asked to table the creamery lease to the August 8th meeting.
Thank you.
If the board so desires.
Do we need a motion?
Could I have a motion on that, please?
Motion table.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion on that? Roll call, please.
Trustee Razik?
Yes.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
Trustee Gray?
Yes.
Trustee Holston? Trustee Horn?
No.
Okay. We'll move on to the McCorkle outlot.
Mr. Mayor, that if we could ask that remain tabled. We have some current investigation going on and information gathering, and we anticipate meeting with the parties prior to the next meeting, so hopefully we can have a path to resolution.
I'll make that motion.
Motion and a second.
Second.
Any discussion on that? The only comment I would like to make on that is we want to resolve this ASAP. We're holding up emotional people and our contractor, so that's going to be dealt with. Thank you very much. Roll call, please, to table it.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.
Trustee Blue?
Yes.
Trustee Gray?
Yes.
Trustee Horn?
No.
Trustee Razik?
Yes.
Okay, we'll move to new business. Any new business?
I did have a note from the Monee Chamber, sir, to say that the president wanted to remind us that it is Monee night on the 21st of July, and the slammers will be out there, so tickets are on sale.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Blue. Any other new business? Well, we're open to the public and then non-agenda items. Anything you'd like to say, ask, whatever, please come forward. Give your name and address. Oh, I thank the public for that. Oh, someone's coming up. I'm sorry. I call her and her husband the walkers because they're always walking around the community.
I'm Jean Hillier, 26069 South Ruby Street. I just want to know if there's any updates on the folks at 5027 Cardinal Court. Are we moving forward with eviction? I see the same cast of characters there. What's going on? And who follows up with this?
That would be probably the building department.
Which is?
And I don't have an answer on that right now. I'm sorry. David, have you heard anything about it?
No, basically, I think as the chief reported at the last meeting, that is a civil matter.
Mm-hmm.
The village really has no authority in that regard. However, we are moving forward as part of the new ordinance that was passed, the licensing ordinance. They will, that owner of that property will have to comply with that. That is our avenue of getting that resolved. What I did here is that there is movement civilly to move on eviction of the tenants at that location. We have no documentation that solidifies that statement, though, but that was brought forward to us.
Okay.
So we have been in contact. We will continue to be in contact, and especially with the licensing ordinance that just went into effect, because there will be required compliance there.
Okay. Only because, this wasn't a schoolyard scuffle. I mean, this was a shooting.
Absolutely.
Outside of my bedroom window. So, if we could just be updated, I appreciate it. Okay.
Very good.
Thank you.
Anyone else? If not, we're going to move on to executive session with collective bargaining. 5 ILCS 120/2 C2 and purchase or lease of real property. 5 ILCS 120/2 C5. So this may not take real long, but you're welcome to stay. We thank everyone that came, especially the school. We appreciate that. So,
Motion.
I need a motion to move into executive session.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion on it? Roll call, please.
Trustee Blue? Trustee Gray? Trustee Horn?
Yes.
Trustee Razik?
Yes.
Trustee Udris?
Yes.